Now that the NBA free agency is almost a week old and most of the big name players have signed deals, I decided to give 5 winners and 3 losers for this first start of free agency. The first winner is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder re signed Paul George when everyone thought he was gone. They also managed to keep him for 4 years, which is surprising, as in the 2020 offseason, PG is eligible to sign a Supermax contract. They were also able to keep Jeremy Grant for 3 years and $27 million, which is an okay deal. But they were also able to get Nerlens Noel for the minimum, and he will surely help them off the bench. The next winner is the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors probably had the second best offseason. For starters, they re signed Kevin Durant, as everyone thought they would, and they also let Omri Caspi walk, which obviously means pretty much nothing. They then signed the best center in the league when healthy in DeMarcus Cousins for only the taxpayer mid level exception. Also, the Rockets lost Trevor Ariza, who is one of their most valuable players, as he was one of the best 3-and-D wings in the NBA last year. On top of this, LeBron signed with the Lakers, who are not going to be championship contenders for at least another year unless they trade for Kawhi, so the Warriors' path to the finals just got a lot easier. The next winner is 3-point shooters. Doug McDermott got 3 years and $22 million with the Pacers. Joe Harris got 2 years and $16 million with the Nets. Both of them are bench players, and neither can do much more than shoot threes. Of course, they are some of the best in the league at shooting, but that's really all they can do. JJ Redick also got a 1-year contract between 12 and 13 million with the Sixers. He can do more than shoot, but he was signed to be a shooter. The way the league is trending, if you can shoot threes, you'll make tens of millions of dollars. The next winner and the biggest winner is the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, the Lakers missed out on Paul George and DeMarcus Cousins when they could have signed him, but they managed to get the best player in the NBA while still managing to have future cap space. The Lakers now have a lineup of Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma, and JaVale McGee, with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Rajon Rondo, and Lance Stevenson off the bench. That team is good enough to make the playoffs for sure and will probably get the 3rd seed. And while they will probably lose in the second round, they are still very young and still have the cap space next year to sign Kawhi Leonard. The last winner of this free agency period is all of the free agents next year. There will be 20 teams that are going to be under the cap, provided they all renounce their rights to their free agents. Now, out of these 20 teams, 17 are going to have more than 15 million, 10 teams will have more than 30 million, 5 teams will have more than 50 million, and 1 team will have more than 70 million. Now, these numbers will go down as teams will sign some players to long term deals this summer, and players will also sign contract extensions. Still, though, this gives the players tons of flexibility as there will be lots of teams with a max contract slot available to go to next summer. The first loser is the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers decided to not offer contracts to 2 key free agents in Marco Bellinelli and Ersan Ilyasova in hopes of signing LeBron James. Of course, they didn't get LeBron, and he didn't even show up to their meeting. Now that they lost Bellinelli and Ilyasova, it's going to be more difficult to compete in the East, and this also makes a Kawhi Leonard trade less likely. The Sixers have made Markelle Fultz untouchable, along with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, so a trade would revolve around Dario Saric, Robert Covington, Zaire Smith, and Miami's 2021 first-round pick. The problem is, without Bellinelli and Ilyasova, they would be gutting their entire bench if they made that trade. The next loser is the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, it's pretty clear what the Blazers need to do in order to be a contender. They need a 3rd star, depth in the front court, and defensive-minded backup guards. Obviously, getting a 3rd star isn't easy, so I'll give them a pass on that, but the other 2 they failed miserably. Their previous backup center, Ed Davis, left for Brooklyn on a 1-year, $4.4 million deal. They could have easily re-signed him as they had his bird rights, and he was their only really good backup big last year. I would have expected the Blazers to sign defensive-minded guards like David Nwaba or Aaron Aflalo, both of which will probably be pretty cheap. Instead, they picked up Seth Curry and Nick Stauskas, both of which on pretty reasonable deals. Seth Curry can come off the bench and be a pretty solid passer, but Nick Stauskas is just a one-dimensional player. Both of them are pretty bad defenders and are essentially just much worse versions of Lillard and McCollum. The last loser is the Utah Jazz. The Jazz weren't really players in free agency, as they just re-signed Dante Exum, Derek Favors, and Raul Neto. Dante Exum got a 3-year, $33 million contract. Exum has only played 162 games in 4 years, and most recently only played 14 games. When healthy, he is a good backup point guard, and he's a good passer and defender while being able to get to the basket. He still does have potential, but with his injury history, it's a huge risk to give $33 million to a guy that might not even play. Derek Favors got a 2-year, $36 million contract, and the second year is non-guaranteed. I think it's pretty obvious that Favors doesn't fit on this team. There are just too many non-shooters in the starting lineup, as Rubio is an average shooter at best, and Favors and Gobert can't shoot at all. It would have been better to go out and get a stretch four like Nemanja Bjelica, Anthony Tolliver, or even Jabari Parker. Raul Neto got a 2-year contract worth $4.4 million. Neto only played 41 games for the Jazz last season and only averaged 12 minutes per game in those games. He's not a bad third point guard to have on the team, but this deal was just mediocre at best. It was the minimum, but $2.2 million for a guy that barely plays just seems like a bit much. I just think they could have gotten a player like Raul Neto for cheaper, someone like Joe Young or Shane Larkin. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and comment down below who your winners and losers are for this free agency period.